All right, good afternoon. I am going to go ahead and get started. It is 12 o'clock and I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So thank you for attending the webinar, Navigating Your Finances Alone. My name is Katie Bruno and I am a certified financial planner with Maureen Quinn Wealth Partners. And we are a team of independent financial advisors located in Omaha, Nebraska. In today's discussion, we are going to be talking about navigating your finances alone. And I know that sometimes it feels like the world is designed for couples. People throw dinner parties for couples. Most forms ask you about your spouse or your marital status. And retirement and aging, which is an area where you will genuinely want a helping hand, can feel kind of scary on your own. So whether it's by circumstance or by choice, there are many people that end up navigating their finances alone. And so today we're going to talk about taking financial control through a transition, prioritizing your to-do list, and then I'll give 5 steps for building a solid financial foundation. No one plans to die after their spouse, and no one goes into a marriage planning on divorce. However, statistics tell us that the odds are high on both. In the United States, 41% of all marriages eventually end in divorce. Additionally, more than 40% of women aged 65 and older are widowed, and 13% of men are widowed each year. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of financial decisions that we are each going to make in our lifetime. And these decisions are compounded if we're going through a divorce or if we've lost a spouse. Additionally, if either one of these things have happened to you, you shouldn't make financial decisions right away. There is an emotional toll that these events take on us. And as we go through the ladder of emotions, it's important that we deal with our feelings first and then our finances. Divorce or the loss of a spouse is definitely going to change your life and your financial situation, but it doesn't have to destroy your life. And so we should focus on our feelings and then our finances. There are also an increasing amount of people that aren't getting married at all, and therefore are navigating their finances alone. If you are suddenly single and you've gone through a divorce or you've recently lost a spouse, there are different things that apply to you. And like I said, it's important to wait till you have a clear head to get your affairs in order. And I have worksheets or checklists on both situations that if you are interested in getting a copy of the checklist, just email me. But I'm going to go over some of the highlights. If you're going through a divorce, it's important that you know your numbers. Know where your money is, know what you own, know what you owe, and know that for your spouse or your ex-spouse if you're in the process. Social Security. If you've been married for more than 10 years, you have the right to your spouse's Social Security benefits. And if your spouse made more than you may want them. There's also QDROs, which is a Qualified Domestic Relations Order. And this is an order that's used to transfer marital assets, such as a pension or a retirement plan, to the non-owner spouse. And if this applies to you, you may need to select a new custodian to hold your retirement assets. There's also special rules where you can tap into retirement funds to cover your bills from a divorce. It's a one-time penalty-free distribution from your retirement plan, a qualified retirement plan like a 401k. And it's really important that the logistics are carried out in this to keep it from being penalized, to keep it penalty-free. Insurance. It's critical to update and review and ensure that you and your family are protected. This is life insurance, this is health insurance, and maybe disability insurance. Protecting what's yours, go in, change your passwords to your accounts. If you do online banking, online investing, change your passwords. Protect your information. The house, keeping the house, selling the house, or transferring the house. This is a decision that has to be made in divorce. And don't always assume that keeping the house is the right decision. Oftentimes, women especially will want to keep the house, and they'll give up other assets in order to keep the house, which over time doesn't fit. For widows, after a loss, do not make any big decisions or changes. Oftentimes, if you do, it'll be done out of confusion or out of fear. Partner with someone, maybe a financial advisor, maybe an accountant, that will help you gather information to determine what your immediate needs are and what can be prioritized until later. Realistically, there are only a few items that have to be handled right after your spouse's death, and that's bills, that's burial arrangements, that's an estate plan. And a good estate planning attorney is going to be able to ensure that the estate of your spouse is addressed appropriately. And I'll cover that more later. And lastly, in either one of these situations, take care of yourself. Create a support network, ask for help. When we talk about prioritizing your to-do list, we break it down into 3 stages: now, soon, and later. And this is a concept that's known as financial triage, and it was coined by Susan Bradley, who is an advisor and financial professional, and she wrote the book, Managing a Financial Windfall. And the idea here is that you have this list and you focus on the action, you focus all your actions on the now items, while reassuring that the soon and later items are not going to be forgotten. So what is now? What needs to be addressed today? These are time sensitive and these are urgent. Immediate cash needs. Soon, what needs to be addressed in the next 3 to 6 months? These are items that aren't urgent, but are definitely important. For example, updating your bank accounts. And then later is everything else. And the idea here is that you're moving these items around. When you finish the now list, you move them from soon to now, from later to soon. And the idea is here that this list continues to rotate, and that's why we call it financial triage. We're going to go through the building a solid financial foundation, and as I talk about things, you may realize these things need to be on your to-do list. So keep that in the back of your mind. So 5 steps to a solid financial foundation. Get organized, define your goals, know your numbers, get invested, and then plan for your unique life. And I'm going to talk about each one of these individually. The first step is getting organized. You want to gather and collect essential documents. These are investment statements, recent tax returns, copies of your insurance policies, and not just life insurance, but also car insurance, homeowners insurance, all of your insurance policies. Any other financial accounts that you have, such as retirement or investment or even pensions, and then your estate and your trust documents. You have to make it your business to understand your personal finances. It's those things that we don't know that can hurt us. If you're not navigating your finances alone right now, I want you to think, who handles the finances at your home? If it's not you, get involved so at least you know what's going on. If you are navigating your finances alone, talk to other people, talk to friends, talk to parents about their situations so that you can learn from them. And lastly, if you are the responsible party in your household and you live with other people, make it your priority to teach other people. An easy way for a filing system, do what works for you. Some People like to have folders with tabs. Some people like file folders. Some people like binders. The important part here is that you're getting organized. I know for me, I like to do electronic filing, and I scan things into folders on my computer. So whatever works for you, the important thing here is that you know where to get the information and it's organized. Now let's talk about your goals and how they relate to your money. Start by thinking, what is your reason for joining the webinar today? Was it a recent life event? Do you have concerns about how your money is going to affect your life? What are your priorities, or have your priorities recently changed? And more importantly, what are your responsibilities? And when it comes to goal setting, it's really important that we visualize what our goals look like and feel like. It's really important that we define our goals and then we marry them to our money and our values. Setting goals is the first step when you create a financial plan. And it's important that they're SMART goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Every goal needs to be specific, and every goal needs to have a dollar amount and a date. If we don't set a date, it's not a goal, it's just a wish. Think about the last time you had to manage a project, whether that's at work or in your personal life, or maybe you moved. And think about all the things that made it stressful. But the second you wrote down the list of what steps you needed to take, or how to get there, or what things you needed, you were better able to make decisions. And by creating and writing things down, it becomes less scary or less daunting to start. Also think about your priorities. What's a need versus a want? And I'll talk about that a little more. You'll want to identify a time horizon. Are they short-term goals or long-term goals? And I think regardless of your age or where you're at in your life, you're going to have needs for consuming your wealth. And so short-term goals are those goals that are going to be under 3 years. Paying off a credit card or saving for a vacation. Medium-term goals are goals that are anywhere from 3 years to 10 years. So maybe it's paying off a mortgage, maybe paying off student loans, donating to charity, those types of things. And then long-term goals are those that have a 10 or more, 10 plus time horizon. So save for retirement, buy a second home. When it comes to your goals, this is where an advisor can really help you by creating a specific plan to make progress against each one of your goals you set. And sometimes that's through investing and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just having accountability. Know your numbers. What is your situation? Knowing your numbers is going to help you understand your baseline. In other words, where are we starting and where are the gaps? We're going to look at your net worth and your cash flows. And when we do this, you can identify different areas where you could maybe spend less, save more, or reduce debt. By going into it blindly and hoping for the best, that's not a strategy. It's important that you know what you have and that you review it. So let's talk about cash flow. Cash flow is the flow of money in and the flow of money out during a period of time. It's your income and your expenses, and these are the two bases for building a budget. You should be looking at your cash flow at least monthly if you're just starting. And then once you really understand what that looks like, I think it's okay to make it quarterly or even annually. But in the beginning, when you're just starting to know your numbers, you should be looking at that monthly. When creating the budget, think about your needs and your wants. Your needs are living expenses. These are your basic bare bone needs. I need food. I need a housing payment, whether that's a mortgage payment or rent. You need to drive a car. You need insurance. Those are needs. Wants are those things that are discretionary expenses. This is our subscription boxes or our vacations, or maybe the luxury car instead of the car that we just need to get places. So these are things that are not necessary, but we really want them. And if you're new at budgeting, there are several apps out there that are really good. If you like pen and paper and it works for you, by all means do it. But if you're looking for a good budgeting app, there are several: Mint, Acorns, dailybudget.com, YNAB, which is You Need a Budget. They all work, and they all will accomplish the same thing. They just take the discipline to use them. Your balance sheet. What is your net worth? Your net worth is what you own, or what you have, minus what you owe. Assets minus liabilities. Liabilities are things like credit cards, mortgages, car loans, student loans. And some of them are going to be short-term liabilities and some are going to be long-term liabilities. Long-term liability would be a mortgage. A short-term liability would be a credit card. And then your assets, what you own. This is bank accounts, retirement accounts, investment accounts. If you have insurance and it has a cash value, that's an asset. Your house, jewelry or antiques that have significant value, all assets. When you calculate your net worth, this is a snapshot of your current financial life, and it will change. Step 4 is to get invested. The first and most important thing you can do at all is to invest. And I know the idea of investing is overwhelming to some, especially when we can turn on the news or open the paper and our media is telling us lots of different stories and approaches. My advice would be to listen to a professional, someone who has been trained and educated, and not just CNBC or reporters. There are a lot of aspects of investing that we cannot control. We could not predict that a pandemic was going to that we were going to have a pandemic and therefore lead us into a recession. But there are elements that we can control. And so it's really important that we lean into those things that we can control. When we talk about risk in the investing realm, it refers to the chance that you, as an investor, could lose your money that you invested. There are a few different ways to think about risk. One would be your risk tolerance. Another would be the risk of different types of investments, so investing in stocks versus bonds. And then there's the risk that you are required to take to meet your goals. And all three of these are important. And there's a trade-off between them. And it's important that you think about how much risk you are comfortable taking to achieve your goals. And you can really do that by considering a few questions. There are lots of different risk questionnaires that you can pull up online. I have one I can send to you. But think about your primary goal for investing. Is your primary goal to just save money and not lose money? Are you wanting to create a stream of income? Create a stream of passive income? Are you wanting your assets to appreciate gradually over time, or are you wanting them to grow substantially over time? And in that case, then you have to be willing to expose yourself to more risk. Think about how much volatility you're comfortable with. And volatility is the degree to which the asset increases or decreases. So it's the ups and downs of the market. Is it I want as little as possible volatility or moderate volatility? And depending on how you answer this question, and then consider your goals and the amount of time that you have, and you're really going to come out to figure out where you're comfortable with in terms of risk. And that's what we call your investment profile. When we think about time horizon, I think it's important that you think about when you need the money. If retirement is 20 years away, you're going to be able to take more risk with your investments than retirement being 3 years away. And so it's important that you sleep at night, but it's also important that you consider how far away is my goal, and that should play into your decision of where you lay your investments. On this spectrum here, I put 3 example portfolios: conservative, moderate, aggressive, and they're color coordinated. You can see the horizontal line is risk and the vertical line is return. And the more stocks you have, the more risk, but the higher return. And when we talk about risk, the more volatile it's going to be as well. The less risk you have, the less return. And you'll see here that there would be more bonds in your portfolio than stocks. Step 5, plan for your unique life. As someone who is single, it's probably even more important for you to create a personalized and detailed retirement plan. There are general rules of thumb out there that do not work for single people. And one of those is the 4% withdrawal rule. And what that means is if you take your retirement assets, the rule of thumb is that you could, if you withdraw 4% a year, your assets will last you to the end of your life. Another one is spending, one that people use is when they retire, they think they'll need 80% of the income they have now. Well, these rules don't work for single people. There are also a myriad of other things that should be considered that may apply to you. For women, if they've been out of the workforce, taking care of children or taking care of aging parents, that may mean they have less investments or less reliable income coming in retirement. Oh, went too fast. Caregiving. Parenting or caring for a family member is taxing both emotionally and financially. The average caregiver spends $7,000 a year out of pocket for the person they're caring for. And that is in addition to any assisted living or nursing home costs. This is, I had to buy, mom had no pants that fit, I had to stop and buy her some, or mom really likes chocolate protein shakes, so when I go to the store, I pick them up. It's those type of expenses. The cost for assisted living and nursing home alone is increasing and high. The national median cost for assisted living is $48,000 a year, and this was a 2008 study done by Genworth. For a private room in a nursing home, the median cost is about $100,000. Healthcare costs are likely to be one of the most significant expenses in retirement. In 2017, the average American spent $10,700 on healthcare. Women typically live longer than men, and so due to longer lifespans, women are expected to pay about 30% more in healthcare costs than a man, and that also needs to be considered in your financial plan. Social Security. It is really important to know how to optimize the income for yourself. You should look at your Social Security and Medicare options and try to and make sense of them for your situation. Social Security is one of those benefits that we've paid into our entire lives. When we go to take it out, we really don't know. I find a lot of people really don't know much about it. There are 3 types of benefits and 3 milestone ages to collect your Social Security benefits. The first type is individual benefits. These are your benefits that are based on your work history. And you get a primary insurance amount, and that's the amount you get at your full retirement age, which depends on the year of your birth. You can go to the Social Security website, it's ssa.gov, and figure out when your full retirement age would be, somewhere between 66 and 67. You might be eligible for spousal benefits, which is the second type. And this is 50% of your spouse's primary insurance amount at your full retirement age. Some people, 50% of their spouse's amount is still higher than their own. So it's important that you look at both. And then the third type is survivor benefits. And these are the benefits that you collect if your spouse has passed away. And you could be eligible for up to 100% of whatever your spouse was receiving at their death. For survivors benefits, you can start taking them as early as 60, but otherwise, the earliest you can collect is at age 62. Your primary insurance amount is going to be reduced if you start collecting at 62, and that could be up to 30%. The latest age you can start collecting is 70, and that is when your primary insurance amount could be increased around 30%. For every year you delay your Social Security beyond your primary, your full retirement year, your benefits could go up 8% a year. Because people are living longer, it may make sense to wait to collect. Most people collect benefits as soon as they can because they can or because they don't know enough. A healthy 65-year-old female has a 50% chance of living until age 89. If they collected at 62, they're taking reduced benefits over their entire lifetime. If they waited until full retirement age, they'd get the full benefits. But if they waited until 70, it would have went up 8% every year until you start taking, and that's for the rest of you get those payments for the rest of your life. So a very important consideration for Social Security is, are you actually retiring? Are you taking the benefit at 62 because you can, or are you taking it because you're actually retiring and you need the income? Suddenly single, which we already talked about, and then estate planning. You want to make sure that you're passing on your wealth to your loved ones. If something was to happen to you tomorrow, are your assets structured to go where you want them to go? And would it be obvious? Would your beneficiaries know that? Research indicates that about 2 out of 3 Americans die without having written a will. And a will or a trust is going to explain how your assets should be distributed at your death. So if you don't have an estate plan, the best time to get one is now. And this is the estate is going to include everything from your bank accounts, your investments, to your real estate, which is your house, life insurance, and personal property, jewelry, furniture, antiques, art. Good estate planning is going to be the difference between taking care of family for years to come or losing control over everything that you've worked hard for. Lastly, take action. You are the center of your life. There will be many different professionals that come into your life, and you really need to make sure that they are working with your best interests in mind. You're the captain of your team, and you get to pick out the players. One of the most important is going to be your financial advisor. The financial advisor is one who is going to help you across your lifetime and coordinate with all the other specialists. So for example, you may only need to refinance your house once, and therefore your loan officer comes into play. But your financial advisor is going to be there to help you pull all those different parts of your life together in good times and in harder times. When choosing an advisor, do your homework, ask for references, ask an advisor about their investment philosophy, ask about their services and their costs. This is a process that is really a two-way fit. You want to make sure you're a good fit for them and that they're a good fit for you. Many people think of financial advisors as money managers, people who just invest your money. And while that's true, it's just as important that it's someone who will guide you through the process and help you avoid financial or emotional mistakes, talk to you about your goals, and help you navigate the investment piece. this is really going to give you the best chance at reaching the goals that you set. Overcome financial insecurities. There was a study done from Northwest Mutual that said overall, single men and women are less satisfied with their financial circumstances than married Americans. Financial anxiety runs high among single individuals. The study said that 4 in 10 men and 5 in 10 women, so 40% of men and 50% of women, say they have anxiety about personal finance, which was a substantially higher percent than those with married and than those who were married and had someone else to help them make financial decisions. So let's go through the list of action items to pave your journey that we just went through. First one, get organized. Organize your financial resources. 2, think about and establish your goals. Write them down. It's going to help them stick. 3, get invested, maybe in partnership with an advisor. Remember, you want to set your goals and you want to balance your goals with your tolerance for risk. When creating your financial plan, consider caregiving, healthcare, Social Security, and really recognize that for Social Security, there are options and there are pros and cons to each that you should be aware of. And you want someone to help you navigate that. All right, so I wanted to keep, I'm a little bit over my time. I wanted to keep it to 30 minutes, but we're at 34 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. If you have, I am going to be recording this and it'll be out on YouTube later, but if you have questions or you would like copies of the checklist that I mentioned early on, shoot me an email and I'll be happy to provide them. They're also downloadable off of our website. So if you go to the website, you should be able to download the checklist there if that's something that you're interested. Otherwise, here's my contact information if you have any questions that you want to follow up with or have a personal situation that you want to talk through.